On Sunday morning, things just seem to happen. You get that feeling, that rhythm taking place. There's door greeters in place, and there's teachers, and there's refreshment crew, and there's the choir that meets out back, and there's the organist who's all set to go, and there's the elder on duty, and our tech people have got things rocking and rolling, and the service is prepared, and you've got the ushers who've taken we just had the people come forward with the offering. I didn't know who they were, but they were there. They did it. They took care of it. And then you have a minister who's supposed to be prepared and everything's ready. And there's a wonderful rhythm that you feel when all of this takes place and all these people are working so that we can encounter God and we can be together as God's family. And throughout the week, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And it just doesn't take place. It just kind of goes and it flows. There's planning and there's cleaning and there's preparing and there's maintaining and there's meetings. You're just talking about getting ready for the turkey supper and all the people who show up. It's a nice, wonderful feeling of the church working together. You see, everybody gives and everybody receives. Well, some will say, I'm too young. I can't give. And our little people aren't here right now, but tell them later how important they are. See, little Jeannie had just finished her first week of school. She said, I'm wasting my time. Not going back. Can't read. Can't write. Now they won't let me talk. A pastor was in town, and he had a revival meeting that he was taking part in, and he went out to mail a letter. And he spotted Jimmy. Jimmy was playing with his friends. And he said to Jimmy, where's the post office? Can you tell me how to get to the post office? Jimmy said, sure. Pointed it out, and then before the pastor left, he said, hey, look, why don't you and your friends come to the Baptist church this afternoon? I have this special meeting going on, and I'm going to tell people how to get to heaven. Jimmy looked at him and said, I don't think I'm going. You don't even know how to get to the post office. You see, young people are neat. It's just like when you're up here and you don't know what they're going to do, and it doesn't matter. They kind of bring laughter. They bring something to your heart. They make you feel young. They're a vital, vital part of the church. And when there isn't a young person up here on Sunday morning, you feel lost without them. Tell every one of them, you are so important for this church. You make me feel good by being here. You make me feel young. You make me laugh. You make me spontaneous. I can do foolish things because you're here. Now, old folks may say, I've been there, done that, done all that. I'm kind of tired of doing all that. I have a neat little story that kind of goes along with that. Addie was one of the older people in the church, and she was loved by everybody. She was just a neat lady. And she was always kind, a kind of person. And she listened. You talked to her, and she'd listen. And when she did say something, it kind of really made sense. And she was at church every Sunday. One of those people that you just love to have around. And she spoke to the young minister, and she said, would you come around and visit with me this week? And he said, sure, I'd love to. He loved to visit with her. She was a great lady to see. And when she was there, they had their typical tea, and they had their cookies and stuff like that. And then she said, I went to see the doctor this past week, and he told me I had cancer. And I just have 6 months to live. Wow. The young minister was just about in tears. He loved this lady. And he said, I'm so sorry. And she said, well, don't be sorry. She said, I've lived close to 90 years. She said, I've had a wonderful life. I've had a wonderful family, and I have a wonderful church family. She said, God has been good to me. Now, would you help me plan my service? So they went ahead and they planned all kinds of things, picking up the hymns and picking up the verses and all that kind of stuff. She said, now you have to do one last thing for me. When I die, I want you to make sure that I have my Bible in one hand and I have a fork in the other. The minister said, I can understand the Bible. I said, you're such a wonderful, faithful woman, but what's the fork for? She said, well, I have been to thousands of church dinners. And she said, the most important part of the evening is when the server comes around and takes away the plate and says, keep your fork. Now, they didn't say keep your spoon, because a spoon would mean pudding and jello and stuff like that. They said the fork. And you know what that means. The best is yet to come. I'm going to eat some pie. So when she died, they placed the Bible in one hand and the fork in the other. And as the people walked forward, the minister stood there and he told them, why the fork? And he said, the best is yet to come in my life. Now, think about that. All of you people who say, I'm too old, oh, you're not. You're here. That's the first thing. You're dependable. And you make us feel so good because you're here and you're dependable. You're faithful. You've shown over the years that you care. See, the older people in our congregation are so vital to the congregation. Every Sunday, I look for them, don't you? And if they're missing one Sunday, you want them here the next. We were pointing a while ago, and I hope you felt the point from the kids. You are. Not the young, not just the old, but all the in-betweeners as well. Everybody gives, and then everybody receives back. Tom was recently widowed. He moved to the city, and his kids were there, and so he figured, well, that might be the best thing to do. And he was in a kind of a nice little apartment, and he loved to walk, and he had to walk quite a ways, but he found this old church that he had remembered when he was young. His grandma had taken him to an old city church. He saw this old city church in the middle of kind of a wealthy area, and so he said, I think I'd like to attend that church. I've always attended church, so he did. And he loved the old church. People were sort of friendly. And he stayed he kept going back and back. After a few months, he went to the minister and he said, can I join the church? The minister said, well, why don't you go home and pray about it for a while and then come back and see me? Okay. So after another month or so, he went to the minister and he said, can I join your church? And the minister said, why don't you go home and pray about it again? So he went home and he prayed about it and he said, God, I've been trying to join this church for the last few months and I'm not sure if they want me to be part of it. And God answered him and he said, that's okay. I've been trying to get part of that church for the last few years myself. You see my drift here, right? Like even the strangers who step in this door should feel the rhythm. They should feel that. At Harrow United Church, there shouldn't be any insiders. There shouldn't be any outsiders. Everybody should be on side. And I'm sure that what I feel right now is that, from talking to the people here, that you're a group of people who are all on side. And thank God for that. If we want to be in Jesus' church, if we want to prosper, everybody's on side. Well, why do we go to church? We go to church to encounter God and to gain strength from other people. You are the church. We are the church. When God is present and everybody gives and everybody receives, everybody benefits from going to this church. Now, you have a challenge. Go out and tell the people, if they ask you, why do you go to church? Tell them because at Harrow United Church, God is here. And we have a wonderful group of Christian people who make me feel good. That's it. Amen. Amen.